Mate, how many times have you watched that video?
Quite a few, and I don't want it to stop. I'll keep watching it. Oh, it's amazing.
We are staying up. You know what? What a weird weekend it was for AFC Bournemouth. By the way, introductions. Hello, I'm Sam Davis.
I'm Tom Jordan.
This is Back of the Net. We're an AFCB podcast, so you may be listening in audio or you're watching our beautiful faces. Not my words, Tom's words.
We're a Premier League podcast, mate.
We're a Premier League podcast, and we're staying up. We're staying up after, a tumultuous weekend, because on the pitch it wasn't great, but on the next day we forgot all about that. Because Tom, we're safe. How good does it feel to be a Premier League team for another season? Our 7th season.
Yeah, mad. Amazing. It was a real Premier League performance from us, wasn't it? No, it was a weird one because, like you say, it was. We'll dive into it a little bit, but it was one of our poorer displays. But we've ended up getting safety because of other results. I think it was. We were all saying for a few weeks we were all but there. But it's nice to just get it signed, sealed, and delivered, so to speak. But yeah, mate, I never thought we'd be in a position with a few games to go where it's mathematically done. Really nice, and credit to everyone. And yeah, it's lovely to see all the faces of people. I mean, I was one of them, but that obviously wrote us off. Before the ball had been kicked, really, and that we proved them all wrong, mate, as we always do. And it'll be interesting to see everyone's predicted tables next season, all the similar YouTubers and stuff, to see if they put us down the bottom again. But we'll wait and see. But yeah, delighted, mate, absolutely delighted.
Should we be asking for a refund? Because that was the worst performance of the season, and as it seems to be common these days, Spurs have normalised it after their poor performance at Newcastle. Should we be asking for our money back? No, it's part and parcel of supporting your team, especially a team like Bournemouth. But there were phrases that were being used before the game on the beach. We got our feet up, and it seemed at full time like we had, but we forgot all about that 24 hours later. Thankfully, we're safe. That tweet from AFC Bournemouth, unreal. Who's the admin? Who are you?
Brilliant.
Put your hand up. He's done some really good tweets, he or she. I mean, that one after the 3-2 win at Spurs.
North London is red. Yeah, that was a great one. They've done the Bilham Smith tweet, didn't they, after the punch on Lerma as well. Yeah, some really, really good ones. And they're doing a good job. They know how to read the room very well.
Wadman. So Tom, look, why do you think that people did have us relegated? Because look, we were unsure of the fact that we would be Premier League.
Yeah.
And the YouTube community, we don't call ourselves YouTubers, but there are YouTubers out there that is their solitary job, whereby all of them had Bournemouth going down. Not many, I don't think any, had us staying up. What is it? Just an easy assumption to make, an easy conclusion?
Yeah, I think in general, it's probably from the outside. You know, some big clubs in the league, and you just look at Bournemouth and think, well, they're one of the smaller ones. And normally it's because it's the team that come up through the playoffs. But you think because it was Forest and they spent so much money, I think everyone thought, they're having a proper go. And then that ended up coinciding with Bournemouth not doing much business, and they were going, well, they're not even trying here. They're just going to go straight back down. And so I get it. I think. On ours, I certainly predicted someone like a Brentford to be down there, who obviously aren't, and that's because in my head I think, well, they haven't got the quality of players, have they? They're quite small, and that's just what you do. I think the start of the season, I thought we may surprise people, and we had a chance of staying up, and then obviously as the season went on, I thought we got no chance, and then obviously it turned again. But I think at the start of the season I got it, and then there was a spell where people thought we might be alright, and then when it got to kind of the turn of the year, and we went on a bad run, you could kind of get it even more. But I must have watched over 10 at least, like kind of little clips of predictions at the start of the season, and I think the only time we weren't 20th, we were 19th, and weirdly that was probably with Fulham, who ended up doing really, really well. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me. It will be interesting to see what happens next season. But I think, for example, if I know they lost the first leg, but if Luton were to win the playoffs, I'll predict them to go down.
Yeah, because
just the
one, they're not a big club. No. Two, they've got a tin pot stadium, all the kind of things that will be reeled out, and they don't quite take into account like team spirit and camaraderie that our team seem to have, even under Parker. But do you think Scott Parker was another factor that made them think, they probably haven't got enough because last time he took Fulham down?
Yeah, maybe? Potentially, and then obviously quite quickly you see us lose 9-0, which is quite unprecedented unless you're Southampton, and you see a 9-0, and then you see Parker saying the things that he was, and a lot of people were backing with Parker from the outside, weren't they? Going, yeah, Bournemouth ain't trying here, they just lost 9-0, they're gone, and they're going to be the whipping boys. So yeah, and then obviously hire a manager that hasn't done it before, like we've all said. So yeah, it didn't surprise me, but I'm not sure. I think there are a lot of big clubs in this. I mean, you've only got to look at the teams that are fighting it out now to try and stay up, and there's some big clubs in there that you maybe wouldn't have anticipated being down there. So Yeah, I think it makes sense. We're always going to be in the middle, and it would have taken someone brave to not put us in the bottom three. I do get that. And it wasn't like we ran away with the league last season or anything like that, like we did with Eddie, and we were so good that season in the Championship that maybe it was a little bit different.
At this point in time, I think we should just take a few seconds to reflect on Southampton's relegation from the Premier League.
Come on! Sorry, Jacob. So say sorry to Jacob. I like Jacob Town as well.
And look, you know what? I've got a few friends that I would class as friends, and you know he's one of them as well.
Funny though. Funny.
Is it funny?
Yeah.
You know what? In terms of our mileage next season, it's not
true.
funny at all. And also, it's good to build up a rivalry, but I didn't think that rivalry would sort of dissipate next season with them going down. But
I thought they'd be in it, but but like you say, you'd still predict them to come above us.
They've been woeful, mate.
Really bad.
Terrible.
I think Hasenhüttl still got the best win ratio of the season for him out of the three managers, and it's one of them. It probably was time. I could see why they let him go, but they didn't appoint well.
They do need a rebuild, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. They've got a lot of young players, so it'll be interesting to see how many they keep hold of, and if they're strong next season. But you know, obviously Reading have gone down and Pompey didn't go up, so they will be the biggest South Coast club in the Championship. So that's nice for them. But we'll be in there with Brighton in the Premier League.
And hey, we'll get top billing on Radio Solent for a whole season.
Oh,
For a whole season, which is something that we've been clamouring for throughout the years of listening to us. Even when we're in the same division, there would be people saying, "How come you're doing the Southampton scores first? Because Bournemouth are 9th and Southampton are 10th." Like that kind of thing was happening. But now we'll get priority. But look, we're going to use this to talk a little bit about Palace. It was a poor performance. We were shocking at Selhurst, and we're not going to airbrush over that. And we're going to maybe tackle sort of what we want to see from the next two games. We've got Man United at home, we've got Everton away, and we just want to see more than what we did. But we've also got to reflect on what an achievement it has been to stay up. So we don't want to bring it down too much by focusing too much on what happened in South East London. But
luckily there's not much to talk about from the game, mate.
Thankfully there's not. Yeah. But you know what? We start the season with Parker, the opening day win, which was superb, then 3 defeats to the big boys, including that massive loss, of course, to Liverpool. Scott Parker goes, he gets sacked. Tom Jordan's there on Sky, rubbing his hands together, taking sarcastic photos by his car park sign. And
I just happened to be there in my shirt, by the way. Yeah. Well, I wasn't asked to come down, I was just there in my shirt, like everyone said. Yeah.
That's what you do. And then Gary O'Neill took over, went on an unbeaten run. I think it was one of the longest unbeaten runs in the Premier League. And then we finished the first part of the season with a really good 7-1 aggregate win, albeit in different competitions. 4-1 in the Carabao Cup, and then 3-0 in the league against Frank Lampard's Everton. Then we sing Gary O'Neill's name. Oh, Gary O'Neill. Which was seemingly the green light for the board to at least consider his appointment. And whilst it could have been Bielsa, it turned out that during the World Cup, it was Gary that got the job. And then the takeover happened after that. So a couple of weeks after that, Bill Foley comes in. There's that famous interview, "We won't get relegated." And then we start the fixtures after Christmas, and wow, we were absolutely terrible. We won't talk about that too much, but there are still some little murmurings over Gary O'Neill's future even now, but it's probably not helped by what happened after Christmas, because once he got that job secured, we were dreadful.
Yeah, I think to be fair to kind of the general fan base, obviously can't speak for everyone, a lot of people, kind of say, oh, just because you had a bad run, you went against him. I think people were very surprised and disappointed when he got the job before the bad run. So then it was quite crucial for Gary and the team to start well after that World Cup, because then everyone would go, okay, maybe it's the right, let's get... But because it started after the World Cup so bad... Yeah. I mean, it wasn't just losing games. We weren't scoring goals. We weren't really, as Parker said, we weren't competing in any of them games, really. It was really, really bad to watch. And, so you, from a Bournemouth fan perspective, you really couldn't see where it was going to turn and where the next win was going to come from. So then it starts going into question and why you got appointed.
And it felt all the more worse because there's this backdrop of a multi-million, billion-pound takeover with all these famous people, including Michael B. Jordan as part of the consortium. And it's funny, now I'm looking back at it in hindsight, I'm thinking, how come more people at the time, more generic football fans, didn't take much notice? Even though we had a multi-million pound takeover, it was very much like fifth or sixth down the list of stories on Sky Sports News. Is that because, compared to the riches of, say, Newcastle and Man City, the monetary terms is very small, but also because it's Bournemouth, people didn't think it would affect us very much, and not many pundits after that takeover, not many thought, oh, they're going to invest. No minds were changed seemingly.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised a few more, as you say, kind of pundits, people in the media weren't thinking, well, you never know, because Bournemouth could go big in January now they've got the new owners. They didn't really seem to take that into account. I wonder if many of them thought, was so convinced Bournemouth would go down, they thought actually maybe they'll just try and rebuild and come back in the Championship. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's still that thing of people think, yeah, they've got money, but they haven't got the facilities and that yet, and financial fair play. It might take a while for them to compete. I'm not sure, but it was key because it allowed us in January after the bad run to bring in a few bodies. It certainly has helped. I think people read a little bit too much into it, kind of say, well, it was January signings that done it.
But it wasn't really. When you look at it, okay, so we got Dango Ouattara. We know his numbers in terms of assists. Obviously, he scored that goal at Spurs. Darren Randolph hasn't played. Antoine Semenyo, he has barely played. Yes, he scored a goal in a 4-1 win against Leeds. Vigna, I suppose you could say, has been very useful with regards to his couple of goals as well. Not that one of them, the last one at Chelsea, meant anything, but he's been a hit offensively, maybe a miss defensively. Zabani not really played. Hamid Traore had a decent match against Brighton, but hasn't really played. So really, our January transfer window, had it not happened, I think we probably wouldn't be safe, but we'd be in the mix. We certainly wouldn't be down and out like Southampton were.
Yeah, I think all it's allowed us to do really is know that you've got a squad and you've got players you can bring on and utilise, and it's definitely helped other players. So I think Ryan Christie's a prime example.
I was about to say.
Raises levels, and I think at the time when we got Zabani in particular, we had a few injuries at the back, and we thought, we need him, and then they just happened to come back. I think really it's been the return of injured players. Marcus Tavernier, Joe Rothwell, them players coming back. Dom had a spell out, but I think it was just to strengthen the squad and think. And it's also a mindset thing. I think then the players go, okay, we've got a bigger squad now to compete, and we can mix things up. And it probably allowed us to play a different way in a few games in terms of a bit more pace on the counter attack. I think of like Liverpool at home where we were breaking with pace with Dongo.
But over time, Gary O'Neill has managed to integrate them fairly well. I mean, you could say that he's integrated Ouattara, of course.
Yes.
Semenyo a little bit, Vigna as well. Zabani's just finding his feet, but. Then we did have the gradual improvement, slowly but surely, and obviously the huge wins: Liverpool, Spurs, Saints, and Leeds. And
I think just want to say, I think Wolves away was a big moment.
That was in February, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a big moment because I just felt that was quite a big game, and I couldn't see how we were gonna.
We were quite poor in that game.
Yeah, I couldn't see it, but we needed to just grind something out. I think like the ones you mentioned there, they were good performances. I think we needed a game where we were playing poorly and just getting punished. We needed a game where we could just grind one out away from home, and I thought that was really, really big. And as you mentioned, that was kind of a return of Marcus Tavernier, who's been sensational since he come back. So yeah, I think it was when we got the bodies back that really helped.
And I think Gary O'Neill, during all this, has been a very quiet man. He's been level-headed. He's been very stoic. He's been getting on with the job. And amid the fan frustration that has sometimes spilled into the stands, but not often, it certainly did on social media, which was rough to see. Mark McAdam, of course, had his say on the channel about that. But he's got us over the line. And just little things from him I've really liked seeing. Because one of the things about Scott Parker that we sort of didn't really get to know his personality. Then that halftime video came out, and it's like, oh, absolutely love him. Turned out to be a dickhead, but it's fine. But Gary O'Neill, little things, like even this weekend, doing that emoji on Twitter. I mean, he's obviously not logged into his account for ages, since October. But even that, like little things like that, we just want to see his personality a bit more because we want to love him. I think the performance and the showing and some of his decisions on Saturday sometimes makes it very difficult. Sometimes it feels like one step forward, two steps back a little bit, or at least one step forward, one step back. But he's obviously trying things out, and he's doing it at a time whereby it doesn't really matter, which I can understand. But look, thankfully the weekend results went for us, as you can see on screen, and it's that Sunday match at Goodison, which meant that we are Premier League. What that does mean, though, mate, is that there's a chance that Everton on the last game of the season they may have something to play for, and that could be a hell of a game, couldn't it?
Could be. I mean, equally, Man United will probably still have something to play for potentially, in terms of just making sure they're in that top 4. But yeah, I think Everton, it'll be an interesting one. Obviously, we've been there before, not as fans, but on the last game of the season during COVID, and we got relegated, even though we beat them.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, I don't think there'll be a scenario where they beat us and go down. I'll be very surprised. So yeah, but it will be weird. I said to you off air, because there could be a situation where if we beat Everton, we save Leeds.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that would be a really interesting conversation, because it's what would you want then? Really, weird. I do think that Everton might have enough. I think they've got Wolves away before us, which I think they can get something out of. So yeah, but it gives something to play for, and and obviously the kind of, what's the word? But for the league, you've got to still be performing. It's not fair on the other teams if you kind of just throw in the towel, which I don't think we will anyway. It's subconscious sometimes from everyone that you're you're on the beach, as people say. But yeah, the only disappointing thing, just going back to the weekend briefly, was that they were in the same position as us.
Yeah.
That was the only disappointing thing I felt.
That'll be some weekend. We're staying up, aren't we? Because it's the Chris Billam-Smith fight on the Saturday. We're travelling up on the Sunday, staying over in Liverpool, having a night out. And if it is something to play for, it means the pre-match atmosphere. I mean, we saw what they were like last season when they were at blue flares and welcoming the team coach in and stuff. Hopefully our team coach won't get bottled and glassed and stuff. But I tell you what, really looking forward to that. And next season, we've got that to look forward to under the stewardship of Gary O'Neill. Now, there's been a few conversations emanated over the last 24, 48 hours since that performance, and some uncertainty amongst, I'd say, the minority of fans. Or maybe there is more uncertainty than that, but people are just not willing to express it because they're not trying to, piss on fans' parade, because obviously we're all ecstatic with the fact we're staying in the Premier League, and Gary O'Neill does deserve a lot of credit. But the game against Crystal Palace, I just found some of the old habits creeping back in again, and some of the substitutions seem to be a bit strange for me. Of course he deserves another season. He really does, and he certainly earned his stripes. But do you think another manager could have got us to where we are now sooner than what Gary O'Neill did? Or are these hypothetical conversations there's no point in having?
Yeah, probably the latter. I think, potentially, but potentially not. Who knows? I mean, you can see loads of examples of that, of, how Lopetegui's done at Wolves and saved them quite comfortably, Roy Hodgson, but then equally there's managers that have come in that haven't done a lot better.
Sean Dyche is still struggling to get out.
Still struggling. Dean Smith, and obviously Leeds have got one in and then got him out again in Javi Gracia. So yeah, you can make points either way. I think a lot of people, the fan base get a bit of stick in terms of the 1 week you're loving him, and then the next week he's not good enough. But there's a reason there's inconsistencies in opinions, and that's because there's inconsistencies in what we're seeing.
Yeah.
I could just think back to massive win, Fulham at home. Awful in the first half. Absolutely awful. We were 1-0 down. Second half, we're unbelievable. We win the game. So you go, whatever Gary said at half-time and the changes he made were bang on. And then, as you said then, the Palace game, we're hopeless in the first half. And then you go in half-time and we're even worse in the second half, and we don't have a shot on target. So, of course, there's going to be inconsistencies in opinions, because there's inconsistencies in performance, there's inconsistencies in decisions by the bench. So
when his job was safe, by the way, when he got given the job, we were poor for a period of time.
Yes.
When the team is safe, he deemed us safe 2 games ago, even though mathematically we weren't.
That's strange, I felt.
Switched. What? He said that?
Yeah, I don't see many managers, most managers, even though the fans all know it and everyone knows it, most managers, for example, I saw Arteta, right, so the league's done. We all know Man City are winning the league. And they asked him, they said, obviously, the league's done now. And he said, well, till it's mathematically possible, we're just going to the next game. Because managers just don't do that. They go, and most of them will go, well, till it's mathematically done. But Gary O'Neill went, 39 is fine. Yeah. Which we all knew, but it was strange.
But does that sets a precedent for the players? It sort of...
It's just, I'm just saying, it's probably an easy thing to now bring up because of how poor we were at the weekend. You think, well, actually,
I suppose it could have gone the other way.
We're going to beat Man U. We go, oh, it didn't matter, did it?
You could have said, if we had beat Crystal Palace, it would be, the players are obviously relaxed.
Yeah.
But I know a certain former Cherries manager still wasn't keen on celebrating, even though there was a 19-goal swing that needed to happen.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Even when, you're right. And that's what I mean. The majority of managers seem to be like that. But, that's fine. There was a bit of relief there, and I didn't mind that at all. And I will say, in fairness, that I felt the game the week before at home to Chelsea that we lost, I think was very different to the Palace game. I didn't think we looked on the beach.
I thought we were all right.
Yeah, I thought we kind of played a little bit more open because of the fact we were safe and we didn't. And I didn't mind that. We lost the game, but I'd have been really annoyed if at 1-1 we sat back and lost the game. We kept having a go and they nicked us from a cross.
Exactly, yeah.
But I actually felt it was quite enjoyable and we went for it. What surprised me against Palace was we're safe, we're nothing to play for, and we didn't have a shot on target. Because we're not really trying to attack. And then, as you kind of briefly mentioned with some of the subs, Savina was having not a great time. You take him off, and then you bring on Smith and just put Kelly at left back and shuffle. And it's like, just have a bit of a go. But it is what it is, mate. It was, and Palace deserve credit because they're a good side. They've got some good players up the top end of the pitch who hurt us. Eze was, we mentioned in the preview, didn't we? He is sensational when he gets going. But yeah, a few weird decisions. But then, having said that, you can kind of go, well, if he's ever going to try a few bits, we know that Smithy's maybe coming to the latter stage of his career. If he's ever thinking, you know what, can Mepham do a job at right back? In hindsight, it looks ridiculous. But if he's ever going to try it... Yeah, but if he's ever going to try it, maybe do it when we're already there. Give Zabani a go. Yeah, it is what it is.
Do you reckon the players are just mentally shattered? Because we only cover it. We don't play the games. I'm knackered, mate. I'm looking forward to the season ending, mate. I really am. Because this, obviously what we do is it's a passion project. But I am sort of looking forward to just relaxing and just knowing there's Premier League football around the corner for it. The player, there must be an element of that because they've gone through a lot mentally, really. With, everyone writing them off, their manager going, Gary, a caretaker boss coming in, and then an extended break of time for 6 or 7 weeks, which is unprecedented. Trying to pick themselves up again with a newly installed permanent manager. All these new players that they've tried to integrate, and then they've laboured over the line to some extent because there have been some poor performances in amongst the good ones, and now they're there, and we've proved everyone wrong. They must be like, oh, thank God for that. Let's just relax now. But maybe the relaxation was just a little bit too much at Selhurst Park.
Yeah, and I do agree, but equally, not trying to have a dig at, but that's when kind of your management and your staff do earn their job in the sense that we just played against a Palace team who are safe and on the beach and got nothing to play for. And they've got something out of their side. They're obviously got an experienced older head in Roy Hodgson. He's got something out of them, and they're all playing. I mean, Eze knows that he'll either be at Palace or he'll be at a better club because he doesn't need to perform. He could just wander about if he wants. But so, and I also think there should be some players in there. Vina's obviously one. He's hopefully playing to try and get a permanent deal. And you've got certain players in there. You're going, do you want a new contract? Do you want to still be amongst it next season? You're gonna have to kind of earn it a little bit. So. Yeah, hopefully it was just, as I say, Chelsea was all right, so it might just be a one-off, and we might show a really good performance in the last two. But yeah, on the day it was literally the definition of on the beach performance, and the best thing about Selhurst is you don't have a very good view of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, that's right. This is what it's done to the league table. We are safe, which is good to see. Tom, at this point, when you're looking at this table,
we can't get our best ever finish now.
No,
can we in points table? Which
only 6 more points, so we can get 45, which is not bad, really. We certainly won't be reaching the dizzy heights of 9th, put it that way. But which 3 teams... Well, we know Saints are down. Which other 2 do you think are going down when you're looking at that table down, mate?
I think Leicester will go. I do think Leicester will go.
They've been quite poor, I think.
Yeah, they have, yeah. And I said, obviously, it's just... We were talking about Palace. The 2 games against Palace are probably 2 of our worst all season. So they're probably thinking, how the hell are Bournemouth safe? And I think with Leicester, I think they're the poorest team we played both times. Yeah. Beaten 2-1 at home when we were doing all right, but it was quite comfortable, I felt, to come back in that game. And then the away game was 1-0, but we were so comfortable. Really poor.
And then it's 1 of 3 then, I suppose.
Probably. I think Everton will be okay. I think Forest got tricky. I don't know about Leeds, I always thought Forest. I think Forest's win over Southampton was massive. And I think their home crowd against Arsenal, that might be another surprise. Arsenal are literally done now, and I wonder if they can nick a point or something there, might get them over the line. I think it'll probably be the 3 that are in there at the moment, mate, I do, which is not the worst thing in the world. I'd definitely have taken that at the start of the season. Yeah.
Do you think it'll go down to the final day?
Yeah, I think it probably will, but I think it will take a bit of a turnaround from a Leeds or Leicester to stay up. But yeah, I'd love to know, someone probably knows, whack it in the comments, but how many times of late have 3 teams come up and all stayed up? straight away. Us, Fulham and Forest, because Forest look like they might have enough now.
Yeah, they might have.
That's credit to all three teams, and also shows that maybe as much as people say about the gap, if you do it right off the pitch, you can stay. Because or the three that come up are always expected to be in amongst it. Yeah. When we've got 2 games to go and 2 of them are safe, and Forest are close. So and all different ways of going about it as well. In terms of Forest signing loads of players, us not so much, and then reinvesting in January, and Fulham just starting brilliantly and just carrying on all season, never being in a scrap.
Yeah.
So that'll be positive for the teams that are coming up from the champ as well, mate. And I prefer that. I think that's obviously because Bournemouth are one of them, but I like that there's not a massive gulf. Yeah. 3 teams can come up and all stay up is massive credit to everyone.
So we'll talk briefly about the game. You got an okay, mate? Did you?
Yeah,
you got
absolutely fine, mate. Yeah.
ID checks?
No.
What? So look, AFC Bournemouth last week issued a statement on away behaviour saying that over the last 3 away games there have been 13 incidents where they've ranged from the possession of Class A or Class B drugs, being intoxicated, aggressive inflammatory behaviour, and in 8 of the 13 cases they didn't have tickets. Well, they did have tickets, but their names weren't associated with the tickets, so they've been handed them. And there's been flares in the last 5 games as well. I presume it's the Premier League informing AFC Bournemouth that you need to say something, you need to do something about this. Therefore, everyone was going to be ID checked. I don't know if there was spot checking. I think there was some varied reports on this, and in my mind I was thinking, okay, even as a group that have got their own tickets, how the hell are we going to do it? Because
there's no names on the tickets.
There's no names. So what we do is we see sometimes we're buying as a group of 5, or sometimes for the Everton game it's a group of 9. So I'm supposed to go onto the AFCB website and then tally the seat number with the ticket and then write it? Yeah. Because what if I gave my ticket to Steve, he goes in with my surname, and then they're looking at me saying, okay, we've scanned your ticket, it says you should be Hensman, have you got your ID on you? No, he's gone in. Sorry, you can't go in. It's mad. And I think they're probably searching a particular profile of fan, but apparently there were some spot checks. But it seemed a bit heavy-handed, this tweet, and this isn't a criticism of the club really, because they've probably been told to say this. But I would say there are more issues with home fans giving their tickets to away fans at Dean Court. And one of my mates, Nick, said that there were 2 Chelsea fans sat in front of him in the Ted McDougall stand at the last game. I guarantee there'll be people jumping out of their seats if United score in all stands at the weekend when we play them. And that's arguably a bigger problem, because there are AFC Bournemouth fans that can't get tickets, and yet some Bournemouth fans who can't go, or for whatever reason, are giving their tickets to mates who are United fans. Let's face it, we've all got one that lives in Bournemouth, and I say that is a bigger problem for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And we're gonna have Man United fans everywhere. We know that, and nothing will happen. So it's a bit frustrating. I think as well, we don't always take the bigger allocation because we're worried we won't fill it or whatever, which surprises me because the club have clearly got some money. And what happens is it sells out on, say, 2 away points. So there's fans that have got 2 away points, but it's sold out because we didn't take the bigger allocation, so they can't use their points, but they are a Bournemouth fan and they want to go. So it is difficult. And in terms of that, you never want to see any kind of arrests and difficult behaviour. But how many was it? 13 incidents over about 7,000 fans. Is that over the 3 games? Something like that?
I just think there just needs to be a little bit more. I don't want to say big society, which is a Tory phrase, but we just need to take a little bit more responsibility as fans. If we do see opposition fans, for instance, sat in seats at Dean Court, just note down the seat numbers, because that sometimes some guy came on the vlog once, who's a Bournemouth fan. He said, "Oh yeah, I'm here with my Arsenal mate, and I'm getting him into the North Stand." You're saying this on the vlog.
They know nothing's going to happen.
In the end, I cut it out of the vlog. So it's I can't put this on because it's terrible. But yeah, and I sort of said, maybe you shouldn't do that. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I didn't think about that." Well, think.
I also, don't you think as well? I mean, I don't know what other people think. I know there are health things, but England, don't you think England needs to catch up a little bit with this flair thing? I watch a little bit of European football. It's absolute chaos, and everyone does it. I don't understand it.
And also, we're putting it in tweets when it suits us.
Yeah, but flares are, every game across Europe, there's flares, and it's, and they do it openly. It's not just a Bournemouth thing, but it does seem a bit strange. But it will. Yeah, we'll see what happens in the next couple of games, mate. But it is a weird. But I did always think that it was never going to be over the top on the day.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So one of the AFC Bournemouth members of staff that's active on Twitter was making a little bit of a joke about it, and that was Jim Fravola saying that I might be at the pub and we'll be asking you for ID or something along those lines. But tell you what, that guy, mate,
He's great. Isn't
he's great, and
I like him.
he's one of our best signings this season.
Yeah, I like that.
No, really, because I think that he's been so open and transparent on Twitter, and we as fans haven't really seen that, have we?
No, it's a bit different, and he's trying to do all the right things, and it must be infuriating for him at times.
What getting tagged?
And everything. I saw some people sarcastically kind of atting him in, going, "What was that performance today?" Like,
yeah,
absolutely. But he takes it with a pinch of salt. He has a laugh of it, and you need people like that. We've said for a long time now, the communication. I think a lot of clubs have it, not just ourselves. It needs to be improved, and he's doing his utmost. And he's only just come in the door, really. So it's only gonna get better. And I know he came to the game, and really, really nice. And he seems to be enjoying being part of it. So nice to see.
I thought that he's probably made a rod for his own back by being so transparent. It's not often people in football are like that. But what's good is that he's thrown himself in amongst it and is willing to communicate. And these little changes that have been made. Look, we'll talk about what we're planning on doing with the stadium and stuff, and he's going to be a sort of crucial part in growing the finances and developing the business to make sure we have the funds for that. It sounds really exciting from the Bill Foley interview in The Athletic, but he was in the Prince George pub before the game and chatting to fans. Fair play to him. We were at a different pub, and you know what, mate? I had a few beers. I forgot to do team news on the vlog. Did you notice?
Did you?
I forgot to do team
news.
You
spoke to me, didn't you?
Yeah, I spoke to you, but I forgot to do the team news.
Yeah, I forgot about that. And I done all right.
Yeah, you did all right. We're not going to talk too much about the game, but
I got 11 out of 11 Palace.
Yeah, you did.
And 10 out of 11 Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Because I called Zavani, didn't I?
Yeah, you did call
bloody Mepham coming for Smith, so that killed me off. But yeah, I done all right, actually, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. So there you can see the team lineup on screen. And look, it was a 4, it became a 3 at times, but Mepham on the right, as I said, up against Wilf Zaha. Bloody hell.
I felt for Meps.
Yeah, just let that sink in for a minute.
Can you just say about Meps, by the way?
Yeah.
He's so... How many times... This is not no one's fault or anything, but there was times under Parker where he'd be so good, and then we'd get an injury at left back, and we'd go, Mep's just filling for us. Yeah. And then we'd get someone come back, and then he'd perform well, and then we'd go, we'll just sign that Phillips. Actually, Mep's you back on the bench. Oh, we need you now at right back. Okay. And he'd always put shift in. And then now he's kind of been left out of the team because, obviously, one, you want to try Zabani for this game, fair enough. And Stevens had a good run. Senesi, Kelly's come back into form. So we just go, well, Mep's, we don't need you anymore. And then we go, actually, we'll try at right back. Oh, but I don't play there. It's only against Zaha. I was like, I really feel for Mep's. Yeah. I really do. But he did struggle. He did struggle with him. It was kind of something we trialled out that didn't quite work. But yeah, it was a tough ask for him.
The game started off and we had about a minute or two where we were half decent, but then after that it was pretty poor. I wouldn't say shambolic, but it was a shocker really. It felt like we didn't really get out of our own half. It felt like we didn't have much of the ball, and Cherries fans in and around us were pulling no punches. Speaking of punches though, someone did pull a punch, and what on earth happened there? I mean, you were shouting for a penalty at one stage.
Yeah, I had a few drinks. I even tweeted that. I said, we can't get a penalty. And I thought, actually, it was in our box. But I'm not even surprised, and that's the worst thing. Not even surprised.
I saw Lerma go down. Didn't see.
I thought, I love Jeff. I thought he's trying something there. There's no way anything's happened. But we're bad at set pieces. Maybe it's a new tactic. Just go down. Hopefully they won't have to get to take it. See it. I mean, he's just, and then the excuse of it wasn't a swinging arm. So just go. If the ref ain't looking, just go around punching people. Yeah. And then just go. Well, I want to swing an arm. Fine. Yeah. I can't. I don't know, man. I mean, even match today, we're laughing at it. It's so outrageous.
It broke his nose.
Played on though, didn't he?
He did play on.
Warrior.
I was quite surprised actually. He's a player that likes to get in amongst it and likes to give players their comeuppance if things like that. He didn't seem to get riled up by that. Jefferson Lerma of old would be trying to get in their faces and getting them sent off like he did with Son all those. He was.
I wonder if now, like you said, with times in the past, he's kind of trying to rattle. I wonder if now he thinks, well, if I just go down, he'll get seen anyway. Do you know what I mean? Because of VAR. Gary Neal was bang on. He said, and he was, to be fair, he was right. He said, I've no kind of criticism towards the ref because you might not see that. You know, there's loads of players, but we've got VAR. So once it gets, I thought, well, there we go then. We can check it. Ref will go, oh, I missed that. But no, I don't know, mate. And we said, didn't we, that it's weird. It's even more credit to the group, really, that normally if you're a team that's predicted to go down, you stay up, you need a bit of the rub of the green over the course of the season. We've had a fair amount of injuries and we've got nothing. No, we're the only team in the league without a penalty. We haven't had any decisions.
You were saying earlier, there's not one decision that we've kind of, there's been 50-50 and has gone for us. Like every decision that we have had with VAR, like for instance the Southampton, you disallowed goal, that's because it was disallowed, but there's been nothing that's gone for us.
No.
You mentioned the Kelly handball at Forest, the Lerma one at Newcastle. Like if the shoe was on the other foot,
which it has been. Yeah. Southampton, it hit Benrak on the arm. Brentford hit him on the arm. We didn't get any of them. So yeah, there was at the start of the season. I remember like West Ham where it was the volleyball. I remember kind of jokingly saying that was because it's Bournemouth, but really just thinking we just got unlucky. But now I'm like, you can't tell me this. There ain't any. I'm not one of them people, but I'm going full of tiz on it, mate. I mean, there's got to be some sort of.
All it is.
There's got to be some. It's mental. I mean, you can't. I put it to you about. It's nothing against him, by the way, but it's just an obvious kind of person to say. You cannot tell me if Jefferson Lerma does exactly what Anderson did to Harry Kane, that Lerma ain't getting sent off.
Yeah, 10-game ban.
Of course he is, 100%. That's what frustrates me. So yeah, really was frustrating, and that would have changed the game. It was 0-0. They'd have gone down to 10, and before we've been a Palace and they've got early sending off, and we've only lost 1-0.
What I almost want is like a bit part player. Now I don't want to say like let's call like say Junior Stanislas,
right?
Because he's not playing. I would like him to be like, not that he will because he'll be unfit, but I'd almost like him to play like one of the next two games, do exactly the same thing,
just
see what happens.
Yeah, just do it for a laugh.
Just see what happens.
Or if Lerma is going, hopefully not. Just do it, Everton. Just do it for a laugh. Yeah, why not? But yeah, it was a weird one. Like I say, we didn't really know in the stadium at the time until you kind of watch it back and see bits on your phone and stuff of the clip. But
unbelievable.
Yeah, mad decision, mate.
Look, we're going to talk about the away day experience on a separate video that's going to be coming out this week. We've got the Southampton one to catch up on as well, so we'll be putting that out. And a lot of fans are not overly happy with the Selhurst Park experience. Some of them couldn't see what was going on, but that's possibly not a bad thing based on what happened on the pitch. And Zaha did a lovely little Cruyff turn, almost reminded me of like Robson Carnu for Wales against Belgium, where he took like a number of players out of the picture and then squared it. Ayew got the touch on and Eze scored there. It was a relatively easy goal for him. And then you missed it, of course you did.
I heard a cheer. Everyone went, is that us?
But then fair play. The goal in the second half was a superb strike from him, wasn't it?
It was. I don't think the kind of replays and highlights show it enough. I remembered obviously because I was there in the moment that they got the ball we lost the ball and it was kind of in the right back spot.
Yeah, the diagonal.
But they were kind of breaking a little bit, and I remember just shouting, just bring them down because they're off here. Just give a foul away here because then. I kept going, bring them down, and then they just kept developing it, and then it's a hell of a finish. But we could have stopped that move in the build-up, I felt. But yeah, it was a really good finish, and he was different class on the day. He really was a hell of a player. And to be fair to Roy Hodgson, he's played off the wing a lot this season, but he's put him in that kind of 10 role and just let him float around and do what he needs to do.
Great player.
And they've got a good bit of protection behind him. I thought Will Hughes had a good game as well behind him, and Decore, so they just kind of let him do what he needs to do. And yeah, he was different class, mate. It's a hell of a finish.
And when you look at the match timeline, as you can see on screen now, after 60 minutes, so with half an hour to go, we made a few subs, but those subs don't scream pace and counter-attack, do they? Like Smith, Moore, Brooks, on Fabinho, Christian, Billing. What do you think that was about?
Yeah, I kind of got the players. I mean, he could have really taken anyone off with the performances, but I thought Billing was having one of his bad games. I know Christie was doing his usual, but needed to change that a little bit. And Vina was struggling, and obviously decided he just shuffled the whole back line across, didn't he, and put Kelly left back. I got Smithy coming on for Vina. I kind of got it, I suppose. Kiefer Moore was to try and give us a bit more of a different dimension, I guess, of just trying to go a bit more direct. We didn't really do that. And Smithy still struggled. I thought he gave the ball away a few times. Kiefer as well. I thought Brooksy, it was probably his best little cameo in terms of trying to make things happen.
Yeah, nice.
And he put our closest chance of having an attempt on target, we didn't in the end, was in putting across into... It was actually three of us. It was Anthony passed it to Brooks, and Brooks crossed it to Moore, and Moore couldn't quite get on the end of it. But yeah, it was Yeah, we had to just change a few bits, but it didn't help anything. And then obviously Jaden coming on, and then Lewis, that free kick, by the way.
My God, right. I was at the side, so I was basically parallel with the goal line, and I actually just privately. I'm not going to put this screenshot on. Shall I? No. Shall I?
That'd be
no.
it.
I won't.
Nah, no point.
If you put the height of the goal on top of it, so it's double that, it still doesn't go in.
It's still over. It's the worst free kick I've ever seen. Oh my God. I thought then, just let Brooksy have a crack now. The game's done, just have a laugh.
I mean, what?
At least try. If I'm Gary Neal, I'm going, we're going to have this stat about not having a shot on target. Just someone just kick it at the goalie.
He must bang him in training. He must do. Because he scored, 2 goals in 5 seasons or something like that?
Yeah, he scored 1 worldie against Reading. What was the other one? I can't remember. But he can hit them, I suppose.
Against Bristol City or something. A low shot that was...
He's got decent technique, but it would have been Bill and he wasn't on the pitch. I wonder if even Christie might have had a go. I know that sounds stupid, but he's got a left foot. Vina might have even had a pot. None of them on the pitch. Yeah. Obviously, Junior. Maybe Dom. I'm surprised Dom.
Or a striker like Keith Moore.
Just smash it. But
that was just one of those unfortunate.
It was just it made us all go. That's our day. We're having it.
Do you feel as though when Tavernier's not fit and when Phil Bill's not on his game, like it's almost like an uphill task with Bournemouth.
I think it is quite noticeable how key Marcus Tavernier is for us. I think to be fair, a lot of players just had off days. We've said how well Rothwell's been for us. I thought he was below par. We've said Dango, because of his age as well and the fact that he's come to a new league, I expect him to be inconsistent. I expect him to be raw, and that's exactly what he is. He's either a threat all game or you don't really notice him, and unfortunately he had one of the latter in his performance. And then Dom, I felt for Dom as always, but he kind of, every time he did pick up the ball, he was looking like there was nowhere to go, so he was trying to beat all of them. Yeah. And we just had a bad performance, mate. I don't get me wrong, we all know Tavernier's key for us, but it just didn't happen. I don't think anyone had a good game, really. I'd probably say Sabani for his debut wasn't horrific. You got to remember that there's one goal, one goal we could have done better with. The other one's a screamer. So as bad as we'll be that bad at the back. Probably not. I actually thought the centre halves were okay.
A 2-0
was... Kelly was good, by the way.
Yeah, your 2-0 looks a better scoreline than we all felt at full time.
It was just so flat and boring. Now, that's what it was, really. And we were probably quite fortunate that we were playing another team that didn't have to go and try and kill us off. We were happy to just keep the ball. But the way they were knocking it out of the back, even at 1-0, and I was thinking, we're not trying to get it back.
Yeah. And it was
weird.
I think the stats, we'll have a look at the stats now, and that shows it was a very much an out of character performance from AFC Bournemouth because we did have less of the ball, but when we did have it, we were poor with it, really. I mean, it's a 60-40 split, but the shots, as you can see, 0 on target. I mean, you've got to get 1 on target.
I mean, you think of them 5 shots in the game. I think I've briefly mentioned the Keith Moore header, it was nothing. You're talking about Lewis Cook, one that went over the stadium, and then you're talking about like block ones that you can't even remember. They weren't really shots, were they?
2 corners as well. I mean,
we weren't really. I think I said in the preview about Johnson doing well for him in goals. So they could have had anyone in goal, but we didn't. Yeah, it was just a bad performance, mate.
I've seen your player rating show, Tom. Have you seen it? No. Oh, you know why that is? Because you're not a member of Back of the Net. Look, it's not something that we say you have to do, but look, we do provide some extra content to people who donate monthly and just show some commitment towards Back of the Net. We truly appreciate it because we've got a lot to pay out for. I've been chatting to a few people about our equipment that's broken recently. You're going to have to get another camera at some point soon. That ain't cheap. But to all you that support the channel, we're so thankful. Thank you very much. If you want to do so, it's at afcbpodcast.com/coffee, and that takes you to our Ko-fi page where you can put a monthly donation, minimum £3 a month, and for that, the show input, bloopers. There's one that from this very show. That, I mean, it's not our fault, but you'll see what happened there. Bloopers.
Certainly not my fault.
First looks of some AFCB content as well, but also we've got a Telegram group as well, which is like your WhatsApp, just allows more privacy control, so you don't have to give your number away. And we have a chat group on there, and Tom posts his player rating show on there as well. And yeah, you mentioned a few players there that weren't horrific.
Yeah.
But I think, the team ethic in general, mate. The application wasn't there.
Yeah, you go into every game knowing that results aren't guaranteed, and that going to games you can't expect to just win every football match. You're going to lose some, but you expect application. And I don't think I I don't think that's been something I've questioned this season, because I think that we've always said, even when results weren't going our way, I never felt they weren't playing for Gary or any of that stuff. Always put a shift in. We did it, as I say, the week before against Chelsea when we were virtually safe. But this one did look like a team that, maybe it was legs, but it looked like a team that thought, I'm not going to do them extra few yards, bust a gut. Like I say, they were just keeping the ball quite comfortably. But yeah,
Phil Bill,
he was really off it.
Yeah, Jeff wasn't particularly. I mean, there are a few names.
He did get a broken nose, Sam. Can you? Bit of respect for Jeff.
Yeah, sorry.
We can't criticise him. He might sign the contract.
He just didn't have a sniff.
No, he didn't. That's the kind of stuff you get on Telegraph. It was just, we've said it a few times maybe, it was just really flat. I think flat's the best way to describe it, and unfortunately that is, and Gary will be saying to the players, I'm sure, that you're going to get this on the beach tag if you perform like that in the last two. And the two teams we're playing are going to have something to play for probably, so, let's put a shift in and, end the season well. And I think going into that United game, we'll have the United game, and then we'll have the Chris Billam-Smith fight, and then we won't be at Dean Court for a while probably. So let's get it bouncing. Let's get it. I want good vibes. I don't want us to just turn up and get battered to United and not perform. You know
what really annoys me though, because there are some fans that have referenced. When fans like ourselves and others on Twitter have been getting so irate about how abject some of the team's performances have been. They've always said, well, yeah, but look where we were 15 years ago when we were losing 2-0 to Barnet. Look where okay, but like every position that we finish higher is worth another 2 to 3 million for the club. So, there is going to be complacency, and like I say, the mental toll that they've been through this season, it must be. They're like, they need something to motivate them, and it's clear that they maybe didn't have that from Gary O'Neill against Palace because it was so languid in London. But it would be really handy for the future of our club. A lot can be bought with 2 to 3 million. Players, infrastructure, facilities. Why don't we just go for it? Because I think at this point in time we can still finish in a relatively high league position. Let's go for it.
I think, and like I said, the proof being the pudding in the last two games. Let's see if we do, but let's hope that we go. Oh, that was clearly just a one-off. That was clearly a one-off. We didn't perform, and credit to Palace, and it clearly wasn't. We weren't on the beach because look how we've performed against Man United. Let's hope so, mate. But in isolation, it was a really bad one, and it did. You can't help but think it looked like a team that were ready for the season to end. It did feel like that.
And the higher in the league we finish, it's going to be a more attractive proposition for any player that's flirting with the thought of joining the club as well. Thinking, if we finish 17th, I don't think we will. I don't think it's. I think there's a window where we can finish, but. If we're finishing 13th, it looks a lot better than if we're finishing 16th. Yeah,
of course. Definitely, I agree, mate. And it will be. I'm really intrigued to see what the lineup will be for the next couple of games, because I don't think Gary was happy. I'm sure he wasn't with that kind of feel to it. And you wonder if he's going, all right, then actually, you know what? Let's say, for example, Jayden. People have been ahead of you in the pecking order, but you're giving your all in training. Go on then, you deserve it because such and such didn't perform and etc. And let's see. But I will be. I think the team selection for the next game will tell a lot of who Gary probably thinks are maybe on the beach.
Yeah.
And because there should be players playing for kind of contracts and playing to try and stay at the football club. So it's a shame that I didn't realise before the game, but Gary said afterwards that Semenyo picked up a knock and he's out for the season. Yeah. Because someone like that, I can imagine someone like a Semenyo going, "Give me a chance the last few games, I'll show I'm ready." And it will be. It sounds like Hama Traore might have a chance, so it'd be nice seeing them sort of players. Just
I thought he did well at Brighton when he was.
Yeah, we just haven't seen enough of him, but we'll be interested going to them last two. I don't want to go kind of overboard with on the beach because it is just one game at the moment. Because I don't think the Chelsea one was like that. Yeah,
absolutely. And look, we're all delighted, and we can sort of forgive poor performances. When what you've set out to achieve has been achieved. However, that it would end the season especially if we don't pick up another point this season. But I don't know. You said off camera earlier, and I'm with you on this. I've got a sneaky feeling about Man United there.
I as well, and
I don't know why.
A brief little kind of segue to when we had the chat with Fletch. I remember him saying, I think it was off camera. He won't mind me saying, but it's kind of you want to keep the players motivated and stuff, because quite often you notice this thing of the momentum going into the next season. So if you've had a really bad run at the end of the season, it often can carry on. I always remember the Leicester when they won the league under Ranieri, people always say, you've got to remember what Pearson did at the end of the season before, because they just stayed up because they went on a really good end of the season. And sometimes that momentum can kick on.
Yeah.
So I think Gary and the staff will be saying that to the players as well. Let's try and end the season on a high, and then we can carry that through. Because people do that as well. All the stats and social media stuff you get these days, if we lose, say, the first 2 games of next season, people go, that's Bournemouth without 6. They will. They'll say 6 Premier League games without a win or whatever. They will start carrying it on. So I think that's something to look at as well.
Hopefully we won't get the lazy assumptions, like you said earlier in the show. Hopefully there'll be some more thought put in from the pundits about where we could finish next season. I think
I like it.
Our transfer window will dictate that. And it sounds like we're just chucking money about.
Come on.
But you know what? Off the pitch as well, really interesting stuff coming out. Matt Slater in The Athletic talking about the future under Bill Foley. It was an interview with Bill Foley, and it's also referencing the improvements that they're making inside the stadium with like the addition of new LED screens and the pre-match experience, trying to make every game unique in its own right so that people are, like really bang up for it. Even in the supporter experience group, the article's on the Cherries official website as well. And it's interesting that the new stadium conversation, it's always been an issue, but it's been on the long-term agenda. But I think they're trying to bring that forward because it's clear that they're now starting to realise, look, we've got plans for Premier League longevity here. We need to get more fans through the door. We need to build on our hospitality and our premium experience of supporting the Cherries with like having more seats in the restaurant, more boxes, more suites, all that kind of stuff. And Bill Foley himself says it's inadequate. It's too small. We don't have the right hospitality assets. We have 13 or 14 suites, but we need 30, maybe 33. We can sell them. We've got a couple of choices, he goes on. We've got a 5-year lease left on the stadium. The South Stand is a temporary stand, so we could renovate the stadium, put an extra few seats down there. We could double tier it and join it onto the main stand, but really that would still not be enough. So they're looking at hopefully a new stadium, and what that means is the training facility needs to move, and then moving the offices into the pavilion, and then start to build it up. Mate, it's exciting what could happen, and it could happen within 5 years.
Yeah, and I think a few people have said, no disrespect, but Bill Foley at his age, he'll want to get things done quickly. He's not gonna take ages, and I think it's exciting. If you can't get excited now, then when can you? I think you got to go with it. You never know what's going to happen, but I always think let's just get excited with it and go with it. At the moment, since Bill Foley's come in, mentioned Jim Favola, since they've come in, it's been really positive. There's not been anything to question so far. We'll see what happens, but January they helped. You know what I mean? They chucked their money at it. And on young players as well. I think people forget that them signings weren't as much as they were trying to help us to stay in the league. They were also thinking long term. They're young players that we brought into the football club. So really exciting. And then all the stuff off it. I like that it's easy to just go, we need a bigger stadium, but they know that training facilities and things like, we need to get the academy into a higher category, because so they're not just thinking that, they're thinking of the academy. They're thinking of, and that's what I like is we can't get the calibre of players coming through with the facilities we've currently got, and we know that, and they know that, and they're smart people. So it's exciting, mate. I'm really excited for next season already.
And they're targeting autumn 2024 or the fall of 2024 as the time where
my birthday's in October.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe you can get an all expenses paid trip to the training facility, mate, and be shown around and take the vlogging camera at AFC Bournemouth, please. No, but that'll be. That when the players move across, that's when I'll be licking my lips at the thought of, right, okay, maybe things can start proceeding in the right direction. Sounds like we've got council approval and stuff, which is good. But for the meantime, we've got the facility that we've got, and they've been dressing up the stadium, and you could see that they're making effort. I think that could be a precursor. What they're doing now could be a precursor to raising the prices next season.
Oh, absolutely! I'm expecting that season
because
to go up.
It's been what, $5.50 for a number of seasons now, and
it has.
It's weird. Like every time they could sort of justify it, because even when we got relegated to the Championship, it's like, well, you've got more games now, and then when we got promoted, you're seeing a better quality of football.
Yeah.
So, but now I think. I get the feeling that prices are going to go up across the board, not just tickets. I'm sensing, what you're paying for your coffee, your beer, your hot dog. It's probably all going to go up. Probably the Amstel as well. But what they can maybe caveat that with is, look, this is what we're trying to do to improve your experience. This is why you're paying more money.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's exciting, man. I've been seeing ticket holder for a long time. I expected it to go up for sure. 550 where I'm sat in the North Stand. I wouldn't be surprised and would be okay if it went 650. It wouldn't shock me. I think it might go up by about that. I don't know.
Let's go 10%. Let's go 10%. So like 605 or something.
Okay,
like
that's
that.
fine. But yeah, I'm anticipating that, and I kind of get that as well for sure. And like you say, it'd be interesting to see what kind of that happens all round in terms of your refreshments and things. But yeah, I think at the moment, if they're showing that they're trying to grow the club in all aspects, they're justifying why things are going up for sure.
And we mentioned Jim Frivola, and in
Frivola.
should we do that instead of Senesi because it works?
Right,
Frivola.
Could I have a little Celeste rant about that chant? That's the worst chant. We sing Senesi. That doesn't rhyme with tequila. Saliba does. Basuma does.
Zamora would have been better.
Does. Frivola does. Senesi? Who the...
just because it's got the right amount of syllables.
Yeah. He
You might
deserves
as well go
better.
accent it, yeah.
He deserves better, Senesi, I think.
He does.
Yeah.
But Frivola,
Yes.
in this article, Bill Foley says that two of our big sponsors, so who they are, I'm not sure, but great partners, but they weren't paying enough money. So Jim,
I like this.
ballsy Jim,
Yeah.
you're going to have to pay double next season, and they have. Their contracts were due to expire, and they've even given money, they've even given monetary values here. So they were going to renew, and it would have been like 700,000 instead, like 1.5 million. They've just kind of nodded their head like yes. It's just that association with the club that people want, and maybe we've been too kind of nice to our sponsors. And we're a Premier League club with global exposure, with the rumours of some kind of documentary or something that could be going out about us. I mean, I don't know if we're going to be the next Welcome to Wrexham, but Michael B. Jordan and stuff is kind of raising up. He's been a bit quiet for a while. I think he needs to pull his figure out a little bit. Need to see a few more tweets from him, I'm certain. But you know what? They're trying to kind of raise the amount of money, raise the exposure of the club, and as a result, just bleed as much out of the sponsors as we can. So that kind of thing bodes well. It feels like we're in very safe business hands, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the thing with the sponsors is, like you said, we've been a Premier League club before, but it was probably hard to get them to raise the price because they're going, well, you've got a limit to how far the club can. Whereas these new owners are going, we're going somewhere. If you want to stay with us, you've got to pay more money. And they're going, I don't want to miss out on. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it makes sense. So yeah, all the right things being said. I like the transparency from them all and the openness with the fans.
Does it feel weird to you? Because under Max, there was
quiet,
no, Max was very quiet, but he did deliver in terms of players. Not on the pitch, off the pitch. Sorry, not so much. I mean, he bought the land at Camford and stuff. But this is quite. It's hard to stomach, and when you've got this openness, when you got Bill Foley in an interview saying we won't get relegated, we're all thinking,
guarantee it.
But then it makes for moments like Sunday when we're all replaying a 1 minute 20 clip about 10 million times.
I'm going to watch it again in a minute.
Yeah.
What would you call the documentary? What would you call it? Because what was it? Was Sunderland Till I Die, wasn't it?
Sunderland Till I Die.
Welcome to Wrexham. Was it just called Welcome to Wrexham?
Yeah, Welcome to Wrexham.
What was the Arsenal? What was the Arsenal one called on Amazon? That was called
All or Nothing.
All or Nothing.
Yeah, that's part of the.
Oh, they're a different one. They actually talked about that as well. I just wondered if you could.
The Bourne Ultimatum. Was it? No, you wouldn't have that. You can't.
I'm just trying to think of something.
Cherry.
What? Just Cherry.
Well, no, but you think of
oh,
Cherry
right.
Pun?
Yeah, do a pun. But I feel like the people we've got there, like you said, by the social media and the things they say, I think they'll come up with something good.
Viva Bosque Vegas.
Viva Bosque Vegas. Oh yeah, because you can do the you could do a Bosque Vegas vibe.
Spinning the roulette wheel, or I don't know.
Yeah, Lerma. Yeah, that's why we keep him. Name the documentary.
You could tell that I don't do headlines, don't do written articles, but honestly, it's
it's exciting.
It's really exciting, and this transparency is something that Bournemouth fans have not been used to. I just hope that you can maybe give Jim Frivola's mentions on Twitter just a little bit of a break over the summer. And I said on Twitter in a tweet actually, like maybe try to direct any issues through Cherries Trust, as that's what they're there for. I think we're more powerful as a collective single voice if we manage to put our concerns and our gripes and our queries through them, who can then regularly report to the board in their board-to-board meetings and get fans' views across rather than tagging him in every single mention. But other than that, look, we're just pleased to be here for another season, mate. More appearances on the overlap for you, maybe.
Yeah, it's going to be sad to see someone go. I hope Baz doesn't from Everton. I like Baz,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm hoping Everton will be all right. But yeah,
And it's good for the channel as well, isn't it?
Of course.
It's good for the channel, and just hoping to grow it as big as we and represent the fan experience, because that's all we're trying to do here. So
yeah, no, it's good fun, mate, and enjoying it, and but my worry is, will we be involved in relegation talk ever again? Because they'll go, we can't go down that route again.
Because next season's going to be one of those boring seasons where nothing happens, like 12th or something like. It could be.
Yeah,
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, let's enjoy the last few games. Hopefully, we get a good atmosphere, get it all pumping. Obviously, we do the preview later in the week for the United game, and then the old CBS fight, and let's just enjoy the end of the season. Kick on into next. But it's exciting times. It ain't going to be a quiet summer for us, mate. So let's get ready to get it all going again.
However you've been consuming today's show, whether it's been through your ears on the audio pod or through your eyes on YouTube, we certainly thank you for it. Do consider becoming a monthly member for Back of the Net to see Tom's beautiful face more than what you do already. Some of them will probably just not want to join just because they do see your face more. But afcbpodcast.com/coffee if you do want to. And also, like and subscribe on YouTube as well. I essentially need to go to the toilet, mate.
Yeah, I do.
All right, mate.
Well, how did you sense that? Was it me wiggling around like that?
Shaking around.
Yeah.
So Tom, tell us tell us about what you're doing during the week. No, we'll end the show now. Have the cherries.
Have the cherries. Bring that back now. Oh, I don't even like Match of the Day anymore.